The first reaction was my concern of it being a larger portion of my curriculum, like taking focus off some of my automotive efforts and focusing on some of the literacy strategies instead of the importance of some of the automotive things, lessons that we teach. It was a concern of mine. How much a portion of my time is going to be devoted towards that, towards fixing cars, that sort of thing. I would say probably time is always a factor. If you have normal lessons and then to throw in a literacy strategy, sometimes the extra time is challenging to do that. Some of the different grade levels, some literacy strategies would be effective for maybe the freshman class, but not as effective for juniors and seniors. So that was some of the challenging parts. For us, probably a before, during, and after, and that is like to ask a student before we even start the lesson, what do they know about this subject, and to gather all the information, have them tell the class what they know about a certain subject, and then to go ahead and have the lesson, and then to go ahead and have them summarize what they have learned from that lesson. So we would call that a before, during, after, or a BDA, and I find that pretty helpful, a knowledge text. I guess I would have to say probably just a simple fact of there's nothing ever too basic, nothing too basic. I mean, some students are familiar with some of our topics and some have never heard or seen, so just starting at the very basic level was something I realized that we need to do. If I was to pass out the worksheet, if I want them to do a reading lesson, and before I have them do the reading lesson, I have them tell me everything they know about a certain subject, and write it down. And it may be 1 or 2 words, or it might be a sentence or 2. And then to give them the reading, and then have them do the second part of the worksheet, which is now tell me what all you've learned from the reading. That is probably one of the most effective ones that I've seen, because then you can see the contrast between before and after. It can be done, as much as I would probably have thought that, boy, I shouldn't be my specialty area isn't literacy strategies, but this first one goes the way it does, the second one gets better, and the more you do it, the better it gets, the smoother it gets, and you can polish them as you go. One nice thing about this trade is you get to do things over and get a clean slate and make them better next time you do it. One of the ways that we would do that is to have the students give them maybe a 1 or 2 page reading, and then they would have to go through there and identify words, circle words that they don't know what the meaning is, and not many, just 3 or 5 words, 3 to 5 words, and then we would go over those 3 to 5 words on the board, and we would define all, and that's 3 to 5, and some students will have the same words. There might be a total of 10 to 15 words, and then we would define them, make sure everybody understands them, and then have them do the reading. Sometimes makes the reading more understandable if you know what all the words mean. For me, working with the person I have been telling me the different ways that I can get these strategies to the people or to the students, different methods just different skills on delivery, and just some tips on how to communicate this literacy strategies or deliver it to the student, present it to the students. I would have to say, for example, for us when we're doing state inspection, for them to understand the terminology and to learn the skills of identifying the words and defining them before you do the reading would be something that would help us with our skills, with our different accreditations. The only thing I would have to say is I just got to be careful. There's a fine line of as far as the percentage of time devoted towards this, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but I do want to stay focused on the automotive. I do want to learn different ways to deliver the information and have the students absorb as much as they can. I just got to make sure that that isn't the main focus point.